When you get a choppy day like this in the NASDAQ, and I think we both agree that it's pretty choppy now, do you expect sometimes to get big imbalances numbers on those days? Or like
probably not.
Yeah, okay, because that's part of it. Our traders, and we use Financial Juice as a website there that gives an early indicator there. And, sometimes they'll say, 200 million to buy or something, but it's a relatively choppy day, so I kind of ignore that number. But even if it's only 200 million to buy, but maybe the NASDAQ is up like 2 or 3%, is that something that you look at? Or are you just sort of saying, let's see what the imbalance is and then maybe act after that 350 number? Like, is there any opinion?
It's a matter of, regardless of whatever people are saying beforehand, it's all about what happens after 355, not even 350. It's about 355 because that's when you get the floor update, right? Well, that's when you're either confirmed or denied by the floor in terms of the direction of these imbalances and what the sizes are going to be. So if you have it, let's just say on a day like today where markets are up 0.6% roughly, and the imbalances come out to the buy side in the direction of the market, and we make a move to the upside, and at 355, you get an update on these imbalances and they end up flattening out. It means that positive before the floor update and then negative from the floor, which is canceling out the imbalance. So end of the day, you're probably not going to get a whole lot of activity. If you get activity at 350 and then confirmed by the floor at 355, then you have a bunch of activity going on in the same direction at the end of the day. And that's what you got to keep an eye on. So it gets a very intricate and detailed. You got to know these imbalances. But for general information, this is what, for anyone who doesn't know what it is, kind of leads right into what I kind of do with the imbalances. This is what we're talking about. When it comes to imbalances, every stock has to close out at a specific price, their official closing price. Everybody can participate in that official closing price if you put an order or you send an order to your broker with a specific tag called an on-close tag, right? So on-close order tag. So those orders that have all been tagged like that are then sent to the exchange, and they're held until 350, at which point they release that information on how much volume needs to be done and executed at the end of the day on that official closing price. And all that information is going to be then put through an imbalance locator like we have on our system, which is kind of built in. This is Prosper Pro 8 or P-Pro 8 from Day Trade the World, built in-house only for offices from Day Trade the World or associated with Day Trade the World. So it's not available for use outside, not for sale, none of that stuff, right? This is built in-house for us. Your broker probably has something very similar, but called differently or somewhere in the system, whatever broker you use. So you just got to figure out what it is. And then it's roughly going to have information like this: the symbol, obviously the stock name, the direction of these official imbalances, and the size that they're coming out in and what's been paired or the pair value. So let's just say in this case, this is old information from the morning, right? Actually, ARCA shouldn't even be here. That's why let me just activate the filter and close out ARCA. So this is from this morning. As you can see, 9:30 is the closing time for this because that was the last update for the morning imbalances. Closing imbalances come in about 3:50, so 25 minutes. Paired value is how much has already been matched and how much is left to be matched is going to be the size. So Ford this morning had a sell side imbalance of 1.1 million, of which on top of that, 586,000 was already matched. So they still had to sell 1.5 on top of their 586 that had been matched. So you get a sell side imbalance. We'll see. We'll do that in real time again at 350. I do this every time just because every time we have brand new viewers, right? Not everyone understands. We talk about these imbalances because we do this on the regular. This is our thing, right? This is, if you don't know and you just started, you're like, what is this? But this is what essentially what it is. And the reason you care is because it puts pressure on the stock. If the imbalance is relatively large to the day's volume and how much it does on the average day, Ford 1 million shares isn't going to do anything. Ford 30 million share imbalance? Yeah, I think it'll do something because Ford, how much has Ford done on the day? It's done 25 million shares. So if you get a large enough percentage of the day's volume coming out through the imbalance itself, you're going to have pressure because the only way you can actually do these imbalances is through programs, and programs are going to put some pressure on the name if the imbalances are coming out a certain way. And if everyone knows what direction the volume needs to go, you think people aren't going to front run that? If they have the information, of course they are. So you can go in front of that, you try to oppose the order, and you try to chop up the imbalance yourself. So if it's a sell side imbalance, I'm going to go short and then set an on-close buy. So that's going to reduce the imbalance by the end of the day, right? So a lot of people do that at the same time. And that's what you're going to see as we get closer and closer to the end of the day. Only matters, though, only ever matters if the imbalance is relatively large for the, it didn't do 87 million. Why did it say 25 million? It's done 87 million, Ford has. It only matters if the volume is relatively large to the day's volume. Otherwise, who cares? It's not going to do anything. 1 million shares on 87 million shares that Ford has done is not going to do anything for this stock.